Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to No Limits Wrestling, episode 18, part 2. And still to come in this part, former Evolution teammates will collide. The Game Triple H takes on the Viper Randy Orton in the first of our two main events, here tonight on No Limits Wrestling, episode 18. The Game going up against the Viper. That is still to come in this part later tonight. However, coming up next, a match which was announced this past Wednesday on Metal. The match itself that's taken place here tonight features two of the men who will be competing for that championship that Alberto Del Rio holds around his waist. At WrestleMania, it was announced, following the draw between the number one contenders match last week, it was Jericho versus Benoit, one-on-one to see who would be number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship. Well, that match ended in a draw when both men's shoulders were touching the mat. So the commissioner this past Wednesday night on Metal made the match up for WrestleMania. Alberto Del Rio versus Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho in a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. Del Rio here tonight is looking to make an impression, and what a better way to do it than to defeat one of the two guys he has to defend that championship against at WrestleMania. If he can defeat Chris Benoit and then defeat Chris Jericho, then you've got to believe he is one of the favourites in the match at WrestleMania. Del Rio wasn't happy that he had to defend his championship against two men, not one at WrestleMania, especially against two such astounding wrestlers in Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. Jericho and Benoit have been at each other's throats for weeks, and
hey guys, guys over here.
The commissioner on the stage.
Now, what I was thinking, this is a great match, Del Rio versus Benoit, but you know what would be even better is to add a stipulation, or maybe not add a stipulation, add another person, not to the match, but to officiate. That is why I have assigned this match a special guest referee.
Oh.
Now, you guys wait there, and I'll send on down there the special referee coming out.
Well, this match just got interesting. Who is it? Well, the commissioner spicing things up here. This isn't just going to be a one-on-one matchup. This match has just been signed a special guest official. Chris Jericho, the third man who will compete for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and you see there, taking off the jacket to reveal the referee's outfit. So it looks like Jericho's going to officiate this matchup between Benoit and Del Rio, and he rings the bell. And this is certainly interesting. I didn't expect the commissioner to come out here and make that announcement. But nevertheless, this matchup just got a little bit more interesting as Del Rio wails on Benoit. I don't think the strategy is going to change. I do think the outcome of this match may change, because as you know, Chris Jericho has had beef with Benoit for the past couple of weeks, and he points at him, telling him not to try any funny business whatsoever. And I don't know about Chris Jericho. I mean, one minute he can call it down the middle, the next he can be as sleazy as ever. What a drop kick in the corner by Del Rio. Boot colliding off of the face as Jericho looks down at the prone body of Benoit. He has been told to officiate this matchup. And look at that, brings him down from the top rope. And here's the first cover of the matchup. Jericho counts, and that was a fair enough count there. I don't know if Jericho's going to call this down the middle. He looks as if he's going to do that right now. As Del Rio shoulder first into the steel post, and is Benoit going to go for the crossface, but he's in the ropes now and he has to break. But you see there, Jericho getting involved, and he's, to be fair, he's just doing his job. He was in the rope, so he had to get off of him, and that's exactly what Jericho did, calling this matchup down the middle as Benoit misses the elbow. At WrestleMania, these three men will compete in a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. The Intercontinental title not on the line tonight, but Jericho assigned to officiate the matchup between the IC champ Del Rio and one of the two challengers at WrestleMania, Chris Benoit. Benoit kicked to the stomach there by Del Rio and clubs him in the back of the skull. Del Rio now stamps on the back, and Del Rio in control for the moment right now, and you can hear that sickening kick connecting off of the head. Don't look good for Benoit at the moment. Is he going to go for a Castilian belly to the back suplex, but instead reversed, and Benoit with a German suplex. Jericho taking his time. Here's the cover. Benoit may feel that would have been a free had Jericho gotten there quicker, but nevertheless it's done now, and he's back in the corner. Jericho, to be fair, he's doing his best to officiate down the middle at the moment. I'm going to imagine that's the commissioner's orders. I mean, he's not going to go off the rails unless he's provoked. And now look at that again. Back suplex, back breaker, another cover, but Benoit manages to kick out again, and Jericho signals to the timekeeper that was only a 2 count. Del Rio don't think so. He looks at Jericho in the eyes, and a drop kick from Benoit out of nowhere. Now this may be Benoit's chance to capitalise on this. Jericho sees Del Rio on the middle, and he's only there to count the 3 and call for submissions, and there is the flying headbutt by Benoit from the top rope. And now eyes up Del Rio, and he's going to try and go for the crossface, but Del Rio trying to block it, and he cannot. And now the hand wrenched under the throat, and now he's got it. The crossface locked in, and Jericho's right there to see if Del Rio wants to quit. Jericho looking to see if Del Rio is going to tap to the crossface. He looks as if he's fading, but Del Rio with a reversal, and now he's got it in his court. Now his signature submission maneuver, the cross arm breaker, applied to Benoit, and Benoit in trouble, but he gets to the ropes, and Jericho dragging away Del Rio, and I think Del Rio thinks that Benoit tapped out, but Jericho reminding him that he got to the ropes, and Del Rio telling Jericho that he tapped out. Jericho saying no, and what a slap. That was just uncalled for though, and now a roll up by Benoit. That may have pissed off Jericho, and oh my! Well, in a flash the match is over, but that was the quickest 3 count I've ever seen. That had to be the quickest 3 count I've ever seen in NLW by a long shot. Del Rio slapping Jericho straight in the face, and Jericho not going to tolerate that. You don't piss off the referee. Del Rio found that out firsthand, and he was rolled up, and Benoit wins this. Can't say he deserved it, but then again he did give all the good maneuvers. But the fact of the matter is, submission hold after submission hold, Del Rio thought he had won. Jericho had to tell him he hadn't, and then that slap to the face angered Jericho so much, and that seriously quick 3 count. I've never seen a 3 count that quick in my life, and I can honestly say that. And you see there in the ring Del Rio arguing with Jericho, who had been assigned to be referee. He'd been impartial up until that point, but the Intercontinental Champion is not happy with the way that match just went down. Nevertheless, Benoit has won as Jericho looks into the eyes of Del Rio. They're still arguing about the result, but the fact of the matter is that Benoit has won. What a match up there, and there you see in the backstage Kurt Angle still holding his head, and if you saw earlier tonight, you may remember he was just assaulted basically by John Cena. He was busted open, and you can see the trainers have stitched him up, but he's still hurting. And Angle will face Cena at WrestleMania, but last couple moments ago he was just beaten up. I mean, he challenged John Cena to Olympic style matchup, and Cena couldn't out wrestle the Olympic gold medalist. So what did he do? He gets out brass knuckles. A completely heinous assault that busted open the Olympic gold medalist. And after a few weeks ago, we saw Cena, he showed some sign of respect to Shawn Michaels after that matchup, but ever since has just quelled those rumours and has gone back to his old self. We thought he had turned around, we thought he had turned a corner, and was going to begin to be a more honest competitor, but those assumptions were shattered when he attacked Kurt Angle just then. Angle still recovering, but Cena back to his old tricks, and he is not afraid. So Cena back to his old tricks, and it's proving costly for Kurt Angle, but nevertheless they're going to tear it up at WrestleMania, as are the 6 men who will compete in the Money in the Bank ladder match. One of them is The Miz, Cleveland's own, and tonight he is looking to gain a vital victory heading in on the road to WrestleMania. Earlier tonight, Mr. Kennedy, the Miz's tag team partner, was successful in defeating AJ Styles, another man who will compete at Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania. And The Miz is not synonymous with winning, but here tonight it will be crucial that he gets a victory in this matchup. But I'm going to tell you, it is not going to be easy, because his opponent is the massively popular CM Punk, the man who last week debuted in No Limits Wrestling and is looking to get a victory in his debut matchup. Last week, his debut had been hyped for weeks after being voted in by the NLW fans, and last week made his presence felt when he interrupted the 5 of the 6 men who were scheduled to compete in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, and by doing that, CM Punk solidified his status at WrestleMania, outright stating that he would be the 6th and final man in the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. So, with him added to the mix, it will be Punk, Miz, Kane, Mr. Kennedy, AJ Styles, and of course Sin Cara. But as they lock up right now, this is Punk's debut matchup. Doesn't look like he's missed a step as he goes over his knee and Miz kicks out. Punk, a very talented wrestler, there's no doubt about it, and the Miz has got to be watchful of that as he delivers a quick snap suplex to Miz. Here is another cover by Punk. Has competed all over the world in TNA, Ring of Honor, WWE of course, and there you see, very well-rounded wrestler is Punk as his arm is hung up in the ropes by Miz. That's what Miz has got to do to target a body part. Not going well at the moment, however, as that big boot connects with a sickening thud off of the skull of The Miz. The Miz now working on that arm, and that's exactly what he's got to do to catch out Punk, and he really drives a heavy shot into that arm and going to continue to work on it throughout the matchup. That is what he's got to do, to target a body part, and that's the only way he's really going to defeat CM Punk. Punk is ready and willing to fight. Of course, the debacle with WWE a couple weeks ago, he's here in No Limits Wrestling regardless of what happened or is going to happen. But Punk now favouring one of the arms, and he's doing well, but I spoke too soon. Miz catches him out, and you see the knee to the back and the spine, and oh, what a roundhouse kick by Punk. An incredible roundhouse kick, and he is really making an impression on these fans right now. Some say it wasn't fair that he didn't have to qualify for Money in the Bank. They say it wasn't fair that he had to just waltz in and get into that matchup, but The Miz is one who did have to qualify and is targeting the arm of Punk. It's going well until this point with the kick to the skull and a massive clothesline, and now if Punk can begin a flurry of offense, he may be on his way to getting his first victory in NLW. There is the net breaker, and CM Punk exciting these fans early on. Knee to the skull, running high knee, and going to be followed up by the Bulldog. CM Punk has The Miz in a very precarious position, and he wants to signal the end of it. The Miz in deep dark trouble. Don't want to turn around, but he does, and he catches him out, and the DDT, and that may have been crucial, because if CM Punk had hit the GTS, one of his finishing maneuvers, then it could have very well been over for The Miz as he corner crushes CM Punk. and that really gave him some whiplash. Miz got to capitalise on this, but does not. Is caught out by the power slam. Here is the cover again, but a kick out by the Miz. Very, very exciting to see CM Punk in No Limits Wrestling. And he is on the top rope now, ready to deliver the big elbow drop from the top. Vintage of Randy Savage, connecting with that elbow drop. And Punk has the Miz right where he wants him. Is he going to gain the most momentum into Money in the Bank? It looks that way. GTS perhaps. Nope. Oh, Miz going to go for the Skull Crusher finale, but rolls through. And now on the floor. And this is deadly. CM Punk with the Anaconda Vice. Punk has the Anaconda Vice fully locked in. The Miz in the middle of the ring. Is he going to tap out? And he has to. CM Punk makes the Miz tap out in his first victory in NLW. Oh, and look at this. And what the hell? Miz's partner, Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy now wailing on Punk, and this match is finished, but don't mean Mr. Kennedy going to make an impression on CM Punk. From out of nowhere, after he was victorious earlier tonight. And wait a minute, look at this. AJ storms the ring and now going to choke out Kennedy. Oh, and from behind, and now the Miz attacking AJ. CM Punk don't know where he is, but an all-out brawl is immersed between the Money in the Bank participants. And speaking of which, here comes Sin Cara to come to AJ and Punk's aid. He's on the apron now. Miz and Kennedy look at each other and a crossbody onto both of them. Sin Cara, incredible high-flying maneuver, making his presence felt. And the Miz and Kennedy hightailing it out of the ring. Don't want anything to do with Sin Cara. They've made that perfectly clear. The Miz was defeated by CM Punk here tonight, and decisively at that. Although there were sparks in this matchup where the Miz could have won it, but overall CM Punk trading maneuvers with the Miz, but it was this Anaconda Vice that did it for CM Punk. But what we'll remember is the post-match attack. All of the Money in the Bank participants coming out and attacking each other, and messages have been sent from one another to each other. And you wonder who is going to win Money in the Bank, because there is a plethora of world-class, top-notch talent that all want to be World Heavyweight Champion in the future and want to go to WrestleMania and have the title of Mr. Money in the Bank. You see CM Punk, AJ Styles and Sin Cara in the ring there. CM Punk was victorious tonight. The Miz and Mr. Kennedy have been put on notice as Sin Cara celebrates in the ring with his fellow Money in the Bank participants. Well, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of the road to WrestleMania, coming up next, the #1 contender for the World Championship, Triple H, takes on the Viper, Randy Orton. The Royal Rumble winner goes up against the man whose career is on the line at WrestleMania, Triple H versus Randy Orton, coming up next on No Limits Wrestling. WrestleMania, the granddaddy of them all, it is getting closer and closer and closer, and it will be here in No Limits Wrestling, May this year, and it is going to be possibly the greatest wrestling start motion pay-per-view event of NLW history. And at WrestleMania, so many matches have been made, but one of them is for the NLW Tag Team Championships. Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez won the #1 contenders match. Can they do it where it counts and defeat the champions for the gold? And of course, we saw this combust up earlier tonight. It's getting even more intense. For the Intercontinental Championship, it will be a triple threat match. Alberto Del Rio versus Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho. 3 men, 1 championship. Who's leaving Mania as Intercontinental Champion? And of course, who's coming out with a briefcase? CM Punk, Kane, Mr. Kennedy, The Miz, Sin Cara and AJ Styles battle it out for a World Heavyweight Championship contract in the Money in the Bank ladder match. This one's got in personal. Earlier tonight, John Cena busting open the Olympic gold medalist, but they will get their hands on each other at WrestleMania. Kurt Angle takes on John Cena. An incredible matchup gonna happen at WrestleMania. Who knows what's gonna happen with those two collide, but speaking of colliding, these two have a lot to play for. The loser of this matchup will never compete here again. It is a street fight between Randy Orton and Batista. The loser of that matchup will leave No Limits Wrestling forever. And this is the match of the decade, the match of the century. The Undertaker versus Sting. The Dead Man and the Icon have played mind games with each other for weeks, but they are set to collide on the grandest stage of them all, in what may be the most personal, most epic matchup of all time. And you want to talk about personal, look no further than the main event. For the World Heavyweight Championship, the Royal Rumble winner Triple H takes on his former DX teammate Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels defends the championship. It is DX taking on each other for the world title at WrestleMania. Only a few weeks to go now until that incredible lineup. And speaking of an incredible lineup, the first of our two main events here tonight, and you hear the crowd response for this guy. He is the Royal Rumble winner and therefore the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. That man is Triple H, and at WrestleMania he will face his former best friend in Shawn Michaels. This past week on Metal, as you may have seen, he went on a complete rampage. First of all, starting off that evening by attacking Kofi Kingston on Metal, and then later on in the evening defeating his tag team partner R-Truth, who, in my opinion, put up one hell of an effort. He gave a 5-star performance, did R-Truth, but Triple H still just about managing to defeat R-Truth, but that served as a warning, especially after last week when Triple H was attacked and humiliated by Shawn Michaels. The World Heavyweight Champion Shawn Michaels attacking the game last week, and another man who is willing to defeat this guy is the Viper Randy Orton. Randy Orton last week opened up a challenge to Batista. He said, face me in a street fight at WrestleMania and put your career on the line. And it was made official on Metal. Randy Orton will go one-on-one with Batista at WrestleMania. However, it will be in a street fight, and the loser of that matchup at WrestleMania will leave NLW. The stakes are so high, and Randy Orton knows it, and in recent weeks we've seen Randy Orton sort of morph into a more sinister, evil character, just like he had been before. I mean, we saw the things he said last week. We heard what he had to say to Batista, and it was kind of scary in a way. I mean, the way he just sort of transformed into this monster that we knew he had been previously, but we didn't think it would come out as much. But I guess the stakes being so high, he's gonna turn into a monster to keep his job and keep his career going, and that's exactly what he wants to do. But there you see Randy Orton with the back body drop. Randy Orton going one-on-one with Triple H, and if he can defeat Triple H, it would send a major message to the rest of the No Limits Wrestling locker room that he is, and it would also send a massive message to Batista saying that he is the apex predator, and here's the cover, but Triple H manages to kick out. Triple H not in the best of shape, but considering he only competed last episode on Metal against R-Truth, he managed to win that, but only by the skin of his teeth. And Randy Orton, you see now, wailing on Triple H in the early going of this matchup, and clotheslines him over onto the outside. Both men now in dangerous territory, as Triple H is being beaten by his former Evolution teammate in Randy Orton. Not best for business at the moment. Randy Orton beating the hell out of Triple H on the outside, on the floor, and knows he's going to send him back into the ring and try and go for a cover perhaps. And look at this, a massive uppercut by Orton. Triple H stunned momentarily, but comes back with a punch. Triple H desperately needs to get back in this, and he does. My God, you see there, hacking out the leg. And if you can work on a body part, this is what the wrestling that Triple H has been taught, to work on a body part. And is he going to go for the legs? But instead, Randy Orton manages to prevent that assault as Triple H, skull first, into the steel ring post. Triple H in trouble, but for the moment, only for the moment, Randy Orton bought himself a little bit of time, but not enough evidently, as he drives that leg straight off of the steel steps. And Randy Orton, in desperation mode, hacked out again by those legs. And that is what Triple H is going to do, going to attack the right leg of Orton. This doesn't look good at all. Oh my God, driving those knees into it. And this is where Triple H excels, as he once again targets the knee and drives it off the canvas. Randy Orton got to get back into this, and he does. Triple H head first off of the steel turnbuckle, but the knee to the skull. Here is a cover. Is this all? But Randy Orton manages to kick out. Triple H, a student of the game. He gave that shoot interview this past week. He said he was the game, and he wasn't going to let anybody stand in his way. But at the moment, Randy Orton is in his way, and is posing a real threat to the number one contender. Orton now, scoop slam by Orton. Scoop power slam. Gets all the way underneath him, and this is no time to showboat. But it doesn't matter regardless. There is the DDT by Orton. Vintage. Here's a cover, and a kick out by the game. The Viper is coiled, and you see now Triple H only just about getting to his feet, and there's a punch. Sends Orton down to the canvas. Now what do you think is going through his mind? Because he wants to put a good impression up here tonight. He wants to send a message to Shawn Michaels, but the way Randy Orton's been in recent weeks, it's not going to be easy, as he has that one scouted. The boot to the skull. And as I mentioned before, Randy Orton in recent weeks has been more sinister, more evil, and it's showing right now. Here's the crossbody, but a roll through by Triple H, and this could be all. But he manages to kick out regardless. Alas, it wasn't meant to be that time. Triple H goes for the clothesline, but the backbreaker by Orton, and he had that one scouted. He has got to be on his game, especially considering he's got a street fight with Batista at WrestleMania where his career is on the line. Either Randy Orton or Batista. Oh, there you see. I was about to say, there you see, he went for the RKO, but it had him scouted, and there is the spine buster. Orton now very, very prone to the offense. He's only gingerly making it to his feet, and you see the cockiness Triple H is presenting. Crowd not happy, but maybe over right now, maybe put away. Going for the pedigree, perhaps, but an RKO out of nowhere. My goodness, Randy Orton. The RKO, but if he can get the cover, he may just about win this. But what? Oh, for God's sake. Well, I was speaking to Batista, and you gotta say that Batista has no right to interfere in this matchup, regardless of how Orton's acted in recent weeks. Randy Orton sees Batista providing a distraction. Look at this! Sweet chin music! World Heavyweight Champion Shawn Michaels coming out here now. Leveling the playing field. Batista may be out cold. Shawn Michaels providing sweet chin music, giving Orton a level playing field to work with. And there you see Shawn Michaels, opponent for WrestleMania, Triple H in the ring, livid. The World Heavyweight Champion Shawn Michaels looks into the eyes of Triple H. Triple H telling him to bring it. We're forgetting there's a match still going on. And Michaels takes a swing at the game, but misses and almost hit Orton. Orton had it scouted and blocked, but Triple H taking advantage of that. Orton almost got a punch by HBK, but regardless of that fact, Triple H with the pedigree, and it's over. Triple H gets lucky then. Very lucky indeed. All of the commotion, and he capitalized on it. and therefore Triple H picks up the victory over Randy Orton. Thanks to Batista and in part Shawn Michaels even. To be fair, it was only accidental, and you saw Triple H take advantage of that. Nevertheless, he builds momentum, steady momentum, gets back on track. Shawn Michaels though wonders what could have been. These are the highlights of the matchup, the spine buster, and what we thought would have been the pedigree, but it turns out it wouldn't be. Batista sticking his nose in Orton's business yet again, but got caught out by the sweet chin music. Shawn Michaels came down to ringside to level the odds, but you see here, went for the punch, missed Triple H, almost hit Orton. Orton had it blocked, but from behind, Triple H seizes the opportunity and defeats Randy Orton 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. Orton cannot believe that he's lost. He knew he had it in his grasp, and Shawn Michaels trying to help, but in the end just hindered. It's an unfortunate situation here, but what's Orton looking at Michaels, and oh my god, Orton attacking Michaels, but spear by Batista. Orton, you see there, that was what I was talking about, that evil streak. He walloped Shawn Michaels, completely blacking him out, and it was only accidental that Shawn Michaels interfered, but Randy Orton attacking Michaels, but he's back up and he's telling Triple H it was this close to getting comeuppance. And will it be that close at WrestleMania? Only time will tell. Batista sends a message to Orton. Shawn Michaels puts the game on notice. Nevertheless, coming up next week is the main event, and it is historic. Sting and Undertaker cross paths for the first time. The Brothers of Destruction face the NWO Wolfpack. Sting and Nash versus Kane and Undertaker. Next week on No Limits Wrestling.